What if the greatest battle of the Cold War was never fought on the ground, but inside the human mind? Imagine a program so secret, it remained buried in classified vaults for decades, until fragments of truth began to surface. Its name, MK Ultra. Conducted by the CIA, it promised more than espionage. It whispered of mind control, symbols and rituals hidden beneath the mask of science. Have you ever wondered why governments would risk everything to master the fragile architecture of thought? Declassified documents reveal glimpses of experiments that read like pages from a forbidden manuscript. Drugs slipped into drinks, hidden technology humming in sterile rooms, hypnosis sessions designed to fracture reality itself. But the question remains, why? What did they hope to unlock in the labyrinth of human consciousness? Did they seek only intelligence advantages, or something far darker? Secret societies have long guarded symbols of influence, but now those same patterns appear in government files. Did you notice how ancient rituals echo in modern experiments? Have you ever felt that invisible hands guide not just individuals, but entire societies? What you'll discover now may surprise you. Because MK Ultra was never just about spies or soldiers. It was about transforming the mind into a weapon and leaving traces that still ripple through culture, technology, and even the screens you stare at today. Before we continue, I want you to leave your mark here. Write in the forward comments, "I see the hidden signs." And if this is your first step into the shadows, subscribe so you don't walk this path alone. Because what the CIA pursued in those hidden rooms was not simply science. It was the key to something unimaginable. And tonight, that key turns, unlocking doors we were never meant to open. Behind the veil of declassified pages, a deeper shadow lingers. MK Ultra was not born in isolation. Its language, its methods, its obsession with breaking the human spirit all echo something far older, something whispered through the corridors of secret societies. For centuries, hidden brotherhoods guarded forbidden knowledge, believing that the mind was not only a vessel, but the ultimate instrument of power. And when the CIA stepped into this abyss, they were not stepping alone. Think of the Masonic lodges with their cryptic rituals, their hidden symbols carved into stone across capitals of the world. Think of the Illuminati, enshrouded in legend yet leaving fingerprints on history, shaping revolutions, guiding ideologies, planting seeds of influence. These were not merely tales for books and films. To those who sought control, these groups provided ancient codes, rituals, and a roadmap for psychological influence. The very same patterns appear in MK Ultra documents, as if science simply borrowed from the occult and dressed it in sterile terminology. Why do the same symbols reappear across monuments, official seals, even in the background of Hollywood productions? Is it coincidence or a silent conditioning of the collective mind? Every triangle, every eye, every recurring motif trains the subconscious to accept the presence of unseen authority. Have you noticed how these signs are everywhere, hiding in plain sight? This is the language of manipulation, not shouted, but whispered through repetition. And within MK Ultra, such whispers became experiments. Rituals once hidden in lodges were simulated under fluorescent lights. Techniques once confined to sacred chambers were tested on unsuspecting citizens. The line between occult rituals and government science blurred until it was no longer clear whether one was leading the other, or if both were part of the same dark agenda. Some argue that this convergence was no accident, that the shadows behind government projects were the same shadows guiding secret societies for centuries. That mind control was never only about interrogations or spies. It was about preparing entire populations for obedience. Forbidden knowledge once locked away found a new stage in laboratories funded by the state. But what does it mean when governments and secret societies speak the same symbolic language? Pause for a moment. Ask yourself, Why are we surrounded by symbols we did not choose, yet cannot seem to escape? Why does power always cloak itself in mystery, as if secrecy itself is part of its strength? If you feel this, you are not alone. Write in the comments, "I will not be controlled." Let that declaration be a mark of awakening, a refusal to bow to the unseen. Because the more we trace these connections, the more the patterns align. The question is no longer whether secret societies influenced MKUltra, but how deep their roots reached and how far the branches still extend today. But that's only the surface. Let's go deeper. In the dim corridors of the 1950s, science crossed a threshold it could never return from. MKUltra laboratories became theaters of shadows, where the human mind was both stage and experiment. Imagine men in white coats, their faces unreadable under the fluorescent light, holding vials of LSD as if they were keys to another reality. Soldiers, psychiatric patients, even citizens lured by false promises of treatment, all became unwitting participants in trials designed not to heal, but to fracture. The official reports called them tests. Survivors called them nightmares. Electrodes were fixed to skulls, currents surging through fragile tissue, blurring the boundary between body and spirit. Sensory deprivation chambers held subjects in silence and darkness until their sense of self began to dissolve. Some heard voices, others saw hidden symbols glowing on the walls, geometric shapes, cryptic markings, echoes of occult rituals that had no place in a government lab. Was this science, or an invocation of forbidden knowledge disguised as research? Have you ever wondered why these methods mirrored ancient practices, used by secret societies to break initiates and rebuild them? The use of symbols, repetition, isolation, and fear was not accidental. It was manipulation, elevated to a ritual, psychological influence refined into a weapon. The unseen hand of conspiracies guided experiments that pushed human consciousness to the brink. Some subjects emerged shattered, stripped of identity. Others vanished altogether, erased as if they had never existed. Whispers spoke of clandestine hospitals hidden away from the public eye, where entire wings became laboratories of silence. Patients marked with strange signs on their doors, staff sworn to secrecy, records deliberately destroyed. In these places, mind control was not a theory. It was an unfolding dark agenda. And the price was measured not in data, but in broken lives. Pause with me here. Imagine being inside that room, not knowing if you'd ever return whole. Would you fight or surrender? Would you accept the shadows or declare the truth? If you feel the weight of this question, write in the comments, "I will not be controlled." Let it be a small act of awakening against what was once hidden. Because these experiments were not confined to individuals alone. Their echoes reached further, touching culture, media, and the collective mind. What began as secret trials behind locked doors started to seep into society's bloodstream. But that's only the surface. Let's go deeper. The laboratories were only the beginning. Soon, the ambitions of MKUltra expanded beyond walls, beyond locked rooms and controlled test subjects. The true target was not just the individual mind, but the collective mind. Entire populations became the silent audience of an experiment they never agreed to. Imagine songs played on the radio, their rhythms laced with patterns designed to trigger subtle emotional states. Advertisements flashing symbols in quick frames, too brief for the conscious eye, but powerful enough to leave fingerprints on the subconscious. These were not accidents. They were part of a calculated design, a manipulation reaching into living rooms, schools, theaters. Television became a new altar, glowing in every household. While families sat mesmerized, messages slipped quietly through the screen. Certain images repeated, hidden symbols placed in plain sight. The flicker rate of the screen itself could induce a trance-like state, lowering defenses, opening the door to suggestion. Have you ever felt strangely influenced by a movie, a commercial, a melody you couldn't escape? That unease may not have been your imagination. It may have been psychological influence, deliberately crafted to guide thought and belief. Cinema, too, carried its role in this dark agenda. Popular films echoed ancient codes, staging occult rituals in plain view, masked as entertainment. Triangles, eyes, serpents, flames, symbols that once belonged to secret societies now danced across screens worldwide. Viewers absorbed them without resistance, their minds trained to accept what should have raised suspicion. Did you notice how these motifs return again and again? Repetition is no accident. It is conditioning, a ritual carried out not in lodges, but in mass culture. Propaganda campaigns blurred seamlessly with entertainment. During wars, songs rallied nations, slogans fueled obedience, and films normalized violence as necessity. Leaders rose on waves of orchestrated emotion, their images amplified by carefully crafted broadcasts. This was not persuasion, it was collective manipulation, a forbidden knowledge transformed into a silent weapon. The unseen hands behind it knew one truth: control the story, and you control the people. And yet, despite the layers of secrecy, fragments slip through. Researchers uncovered documents describing subliminal trials in theaters, symbols embedded in televised events, even experiments with sound frequencies meant to stir compliance. Each revelation adds weight to the suspicion that the collective mind has long been a laboratory. But if this is true, what else has been seeded in us without our consent? Pause and reflect. How much of what you believe is truly your own, and how much was planted through repetition, suggestion, and symbols you never questioned? If you've ever felt that quiet pull of unseen influence, if you've sensed the manipulation lurking behind the glow of the screen, then perhaps you are already awakening. Perhaps you already see the signs. Because MK Ultra was not confined to spies or soldiers. It was about testing the boundaries of mass control. And the echoes of those experiments still hum in the music we hear, the symbols we overlook, the emotions we mistake as our own. But that's only the surface. Let's go deeper. Step out of the laboratories for a moment and look at the circles where true power gathers. Behind closed gates and guarded forests, figures of influence met under the cover of secrecy. Bohemian Grove, where leaders and elites performed. Ceremonies that looked more like occult rituals than political retreats. Skull and Bones, a brotherhood born in the halls of Yale, shaping future presidents, bankers, and policymakers. These were not isolated gatherings. They were networks where forbidden knowledge was exchanged, where hidden symbols guided decisions that would ripple through the world. Imagine the overlap: MK Ultra's obsession with mind control and these societies' devotion to rituals of dominance. Could it be coincidence that many of those steering global politics moved within such secret societies? Or was it part of a continuum, a chain of influence that stretched from ancient codes to modern conspiracies? The shadows tell a story of manipulation, of experiments tested in laboratories but perfected in boardrooms, summits, and private lodges where the public was never invited. Reports suggest that individuals tied to these societies didn't just observe the results of MK Ultra, they applied them. Psychological influence became strategy. Propaganda, symbols, and mass rituals disguised as cultural events became tools to mold collective belief. Think of world leaders who rise almost overnight, their images amplified by unseen forces. Think of policies that are accepted without question, because the ground was prepared long before, in ways most people could never perceive. Have you noticed how certain hidden symbols repeat not just in experiments, but in global politics, media, and even architecture? The same eyes, the same flames, the same patterns, appearing where they should not belong. Are they mere decoration, or signals exchanged among those who know? In these repetitions lies a map, one that points toward an elite guided by rituals older than any nation. And so the question grows darker. If secret societies stood behind the shaping of MK Ultra, If they carried its revelations into the realm of mass manipulation, then what we see on the surface is only a fraction of the truth. The unseen hand continues to move, weaving shadows across governments, corporations, and culture itself. But was MK Ultra ever truly dismantled? Or did it merely slip into a new name, a new mask, a new chapter in the same hidden agenda? 1973 was supposed to mark the end. The CIA stood before the world and declared MK Ultra finished, a closed chapter, its darker pages burned along with the shredded documents. But think for a moment. Would an operation so vast, so deeply tied to the pursuit of hidden power, simply dissolve into thin air? Or would it slip quietly into the shadows, reborn under new names, clothed in different methods, but driven by the same forbidden knowledge? When an idea proves too useful to abandon, it does not die, it adapts. What disappeared from the headlines did not vanish from the unseen networks. Many believe MK Ultra fractured into smaller, more secretive projects, far harder to trace. Instead of chemical experiments, the battlefield shifted. Mind control no longer relied solely on LSD, electrodes, or sensory deprivation tanks. The new tools were quieter, subtler, woven into the fabric of everyday life. Digital signals, screens, the architecture of the internet itself, all became instruments of manipulation. What once required locked doors and clandestine hospitals could now unfold in every living room, in every hand holding a glowing device. Look at the rise of mass media after the official end. Television expanded its reach, broadcasting not only entertainment, but carefully engineered narratives. Propaganda grew more sophisticated, no longer crude posters, but stories embedded in news cycles, films, and even children's programming. Hidden symbols appeared again, not on laboratory walls, but in global events, logos, and corporate emblems. The same ancient codes echoed, recycled through modern design. Did you notice them? Triangles, eyes, serpents, flames. Patterns repeated so often that the mind, conditioned by repetition, accepted them without resistance. This was psychological influence elevated to a new stage. And then came the digital age. Social networks, sold as platforms of connection, became vast laboratories of unseen experimentation. Every click, every pause, every word typed was measured, studied, and used to refine algorithms that predict and shape behavior. Do you believe your feed reflects your choices? Or is it a reflection of choices made for you, tailored by systems designed to nudge emotions, amplify divisions, normalize ideologies? The dark agenda of manipulation found a perfect host in the digital web. Where once it took years to test on small groups, now entire societies can be observed and adjusted in real time. Occult rituals no longer require candles and cloaked figures in secret lodges. The rituals are digital, collective, performed through synchronized attention. Millions watching the same event, reacting to the same signals, guided by images that echo symbols older than any nation. Rituals of focus, of fear, of celebration, engineered to bind the collective mind into patterns chosen by the unseen. And behind it all, forbidden knowledge that once hid in secret societies now flows through algorithms, transforming belief into data, and data back into belief. But the deepest question remains: if MK Ultra was declared dead, why do its methods continue to breathe in new forms? Why do conspiracies of digital manipulation feel less like theory and more like the daily air we breathe? Could it be that the end of MK Ultra was simply the birth of something larger, something integrated into culture itself? The manipulation of information has replaced the injection of chemicals, yet the goal remains the same: control without consent. Some argue that the destruction of documents in 1973 was not about closing a chapter, but erasing the trail. That by burning the files, the CIA ensured plausible deniability, while the machinery of mind control continued under new projects hidden behind the veil of national security. Others suggest the real experiments never stopped, only expanded, tested now not on individuals, but on entire populations. If so, then every digital echo, every trending phrase, every orchestrated outrage may be the continuation of a program most people believe ended half a century ago. The enigma persists because the evidence is fragmented. Whistleblowers speak in half-truths, documents surface only in fragments, revelations arrive piecemeal, but patterns reveal themselves to those who look. And when the same patterns appear across decades, across technologies, across cultures, can it still be dismissed as coincidence? Or is it the signature of a design that refuses to die? And so the question is left lingering, heavier with every revelation. Are we living in a new era of MK Ultra, one so deeply embedded in our digital lives that we no longer see it? The mind once fractured in laboratories is now courted, distracted, lulled by devices that feel indispensable. The experiment is quieter, cleaner, far less visible, but perhaps far more effective. But that's only the surface, because if MK Ultra never ended, if it merely transformed, then what other projects hide behind today's polished screens? What hidden symbols are guiding you without your awareness? And you? Have you already noticed the signs that your own mind may be under influence? You've walked with me through shadows, through whispers of experiments, symbols, and the unseen, forces that shape more than we realize. And if you're still here, it means something inside you refuses to look away. Something in you craves the hidden truth. This journey is not just about history, it's about awakening. Each revelation is a piece of forbidden knowledge, and the more we uncover, the clearer the patterns become. If you feel that spark of recognition, let it be known. Write in the comments, "I see the hidden truth." It will mark you as one who has reached the end, one who chooses to see rather than sleep. Support this path with a simple like. It's more than a gesture. It's a sign that these revelations resonate with you, that you carry them forward. And if you wish to continue walking deeper into the labyrinth of secret societies, mind control, and the dark agenda that still lingers, subscribe. This is not just a channel, it's a gathering place for those who seek awakening, for those who whisper, "No one will control my mind." And as this chapter fades, another door opens. The next video waits like a sealed archive, ready to be unlocked. Watch it, and let the thread of mystery pull you further, because every ending is only a passage, and the truth is never truly finished.